Okay, we're going to have a look at something called reverse percentages. This was on the work that you were doing in the last topic, and it's an area that you struggle with a little bit more. It is a difficult idea to get your head around initially, so I'm going to start off by just explaining it. Then I'm going to look at some of the questions you guys struggled on a little bit more. Then I'm going to give you guys a question to tackle. So reverse percentages. Okay, I'm just going to explain it a bit, and then we'll kind of flesh that out with some examples. So if I had £100 and I increased it by 10%, we know that would give me £110. Okay, because 10% of 100, okay, that's 10. 100 plus 10 gives me 110. Let's go the other way. So if I've got £110 and I decrease that by 10%, what does that give me? Well, 10% of 110 is actually 11. So if I do 110 take away 11, that would give me 99. The point is, it doesn't take us back to the start. If we increase something by 10%, but then decrease it by 10%, it will not take us back to the start, because 10% of this thing is smaller than 10% of that thing. Okay, so just think about that again. £100 increased by 10% gives us 110. If we then decrease 110 by 10%, it gives us 99, because 10% of 110 is 11. It doesn't take us back to the start, but sometimes we do want to be able to go back to the start. And that's what reverse percentages is all about. So say I had I'm just going to cover that up. Say I had this. I've got an amount. I increased it by 10% and I got 110. What was the amount that I started with? This is what reverse percentages is. Okay, reverse percentages is about finding an amount before a percentage change. Okay, if it's about finding an amount before a change, okay, or we sometimes say the original amount, okay, that is reverse percentages. So let's have a look at how we do this. Well, I had an amount. We could call it question mark, but in maths we like to use X. I'm going to increase it by 10%. Now think back to the work we did on multipliers. I think that was the very first topic I did with you guys this year. I know that to increase by 10%, I can times by 1.1, okay? Because it's 100% plus 10%, okay, which gives me 110%, which is 1.1 as a decimal. So, had an amount, I multiplied it by 1.1, increased by 10%, multiplied it by 1.1, that gave me 110. So to go the other way, we have to do the inverse, the opposite, the inverse of multiply by 1.1, which would be divide by 1.1. So if I do 110 divided by 1.1, okay, just put that in a little box there just to keep it separate. So if I do 110 divided by 1.1, okay, and do that on your calculator, that will give me £100, which is what we started with up here. So that's the idea of reverse percentages, okay? We want the amount before a change. And this is the way that I like to do it every time. I like to use multipliers. So you might have to do a little bit of revision on multipliers. Things like increase by 5%. Okay, so it's 100% plus 5%, which is 105%, which is times 1.05. So if it's a decrease by 20%, it's 100%. Take away 20%, which is 80%. So it's times by 0.8. Okay, so convert it to a decimal. Now I like to use multipliers to do this. Now let's apply that to some of the questions you guys tackled. So let's look at this first one here. Okay. Jess's salary increased by 6% to 24,698. What was her salary before the rise? So we had an amount it increased, okay, and after the increase, okay, it increased to 24,698. I want to know what we started with, okay? I want to know what we started with. That's how we know it's a reverse percentage question. We increase by 6%. I want to know what we started with. Well, I know the increase by 6% is 100% plus 6%, which is 106%, which is 1.06, okay? So I can replace that with times 1.06. So to go that way, divide by 1.06, 24,698 divided by 1.06. Get my calculator out. 24,698 divided by 1.06. That gives me 23,300. Okay, so before the change, it was 23,300. Have a look at the one underneath. Okay. Bag of sweets says that there are 30% extra free during a promotion. There are now 26 sweets in a bag during the promotion. How many sweets are there normally? Okay, so during the promotion, 30% extra free. There are 26 sweets during the promotion. How many normally? So we had an amount. How many normally? 30% extra free. Well, I know increase by 30%. Times 1.3 or 1.30. There are 26 sweets. So we must divide by 1.3, okay? 26 divided by 1.3 gives me 20. So normally there are 20 sweets in a bag. We can check that out, okay? 20 increased by 30%, well, increased by 10% is going to be, that'd be increased by 2, so increased by 20%, increased by 4, increased by 30% will increase by 6, so it's 26. So we know we've got that correct. So the amount before the change was 20, okay? Just a couple more, if I can find them, where I've written them down. Okay, a shop reduces display goods by 10%. TV is sold for 135. It's a display TV, so that's one that you might see in the window of the shop. So it's a display TV, so you might get it a bit cheaper. What is the usual price of the TV? So the usual price, X, but we reduce that by 10%. So it'd be 100%, take away 10%, well that's 90%, which is 0.9. So times by 0.9, so it reduces it, so it's 135. So to go the other way, divide by 0.9, so 135 divided by 0.9, that will take us back to the start, which on my calculator gives me £150. Okay. Last one here, then I've got one for you to try. A coat is reduced by 60% in a sale. The sale price is £15.20. What was the price before? Okay, so we've got our coat. Okay. Reduced by 60%. Okay, so that's 100%. Take away 60%. Okay, which gives me 40%. So my multiplier is 0.4. Be really careful with this. You've got to be really comfortable with the idea of multipliers here. Okay, so a coat is reduced by 60%, which is times 0.4, not 0.6, 0.4. Okay, the sale price, get my arrows in, okay, is £15.20. What was the amount before? Well, we know by now I divide by 0.4, So it's £15.20 divided by 0.4, which gives me £15.20 divided by 0.4, which gives me £38. That's what it normally costs. So you know it's a reverse percentage question because it's the amount before the change. Now, I've got one for you to try. So I want you to pause the video now. It says a face mask is sold for £5.25. This is a 5% increase compared to the normal price. What is the normal price? Be really careful with your multiplier. So pause the video now, have a little go. Okay, so got our face mask. It's sold for £5.25, but that is an increase. Okay, that's an increase of 5%. Okay, we know that 5% is 100% plus 5%, which is 105%, which is 1.05. Not 1.5, 1.05. Times 1.05. So we had an amount. We multiplied it by 1.05. It gave me £5.25. So I need to go the other way. We know by now that's going to be divided by 1.05. £5.25 divided by 1.05, and that gives me 5. Okay, put my units in. Just check that's right. I've done that in my head. £5.25 divided by 1.05. Yeah. So I hope that's helped. I would always suggest using these little diagrams. I think it makes it a lot easier. Okay. Remember, it's a reverse percentage is when you're finding the amount before the change. Okay. The original amount, the amount before the change. The ones that you've looked at until now have been, you've had this. Okay. We'll go back to what you've had already. Okay. You've looked at questions like this. 150 increase by 10%. What comes after this one that we're looking at today? Okay, increase by 5%. You've got, I don't know, 200 here. We're looking at what came before. That's why this is new. Okay.